Greetings, my fellow freedom-loving Southern thinkers. This is LLP's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitted from the beautiful Swampy Mango, South Florida, and today's date is Wednesday, December 19th, 2018. So let us begin. Oh, hey friends, thanks for tuning in. And yeah, it's a beautiful day out down here, man. So decided to do another show this afternoon. Just got a couple articles that inspired me to get things going here. Yeah, I'm in hard downtown Fort Lauderdale. Same usual spot. Good place to check out Mr. Nick Subs and City Park Cafe and Bistro. And trying to get some other shops opening up here, but looks like it's a city facility. So yeah, they don't bother me here. I have a good chit chat with some of the city reps, city employees here, so I don't have any issues. So it's all well and good. So yeah, it's just, you know, people are gotta ease up at times. Yeah, the Christmas rush and all that, stressed out, getting kids all the toys. I'm like, listen, I always recommend gift of knowledge. Something more useful for a long period of time. You got to take a long view, not short. You're going to have a few little toys here and there, but don't give them too much of abundance. Balance factor is always keen. Enough of that. Well, I know I talked about bump stock ban by regulations, which I say is null and void, so the notification is the answer. Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Please hit that like button and download, share it, do what you want, because I want to see this information spread like fire. I just decided to hit one more thing pertaining to firearms, which is from BaronArms.com. This was entitled Pennsylvania Democrats Outrage Over Criminal Comparison. Oh, really? So this came out at 12 noon, to be exact, by Tom Knighton. And you go to BaronArms.com. He got some good articles here, you know, so he should always, even if you own firearms or not, you should always check these guys out, because merit is key instead of bobble-headed rhetoric. There's one thing Democrats are good at, and that's outrage. They can find something to be outraged about at the drop of a hat. In fact, they'll drop them hat themselves just out of boredom. The most recent example from Pennsylvania where Philadelphia Democrats are trying to pass gun control at a local level in complete and total violation of state law. You see, they've been called out on it, and they didn't like comparison that was recently made about their attempts. It seemed that they don't like being compared to criminals while trying to break the law. Oh, what's the matter? You love dishing out but hate receiving? Absolutely, because you're a bunch of Palmolive's cowards, these politicians. Because, well, I'm a lawyer, I know more than you. Well, proves one thing, and what happened to some of those yahoos in Pittsburgh, you blow at what you do. However, we'll just continue on here. However, Kim Stoffler, president of Firearm Owners Against Crime, stated his opposition to the common sense laws with the following statement. The fact is, what the city's doing is illegal, and very little difference between them and the killer at the synagogue, except for a master of degree. They're both criminals. Pennsylvania Democrat Party spokesperson Brandon Carolina issued the following statement. Republicans must immediately denounce the disgusting remarks of Kim Stoffler and the Firearms Owners Against Crime. Gun control advocates who are standing up to make our community safer should be appalled, not compared to being anti-Semitic mass murder. This comparison is despicable and should be denounced by every Republican in Harrisburg and D.C., especially the dozens of Republicans who have been endorsed by Firearms Owners Against Crime. Welcome to Blowback. Tyranny doesn't pay. Precisely. I think it's fantastic. I can call you a criminal, Brandon Carolina. I say this particular rhetoric makes you less patriotic than Benedict Arnold. Prove me wrong if you dare. I'll greatly like to appreciate to hear your response. So I'll continue on here. If you don't like being compared to a criminal, here's something you should try. Stop trying to break the freaking law. At the end of the day, that's precisely what Stauffer was trying to point out. And he's not wrong. Oh, it might not be the most diplomatic of comparisons, but it's factually valid. The only significant difference between what Pittsburgh is trying to do and what the Tree of Life killer did is the degree of law breaking. And I did an episode on this about the synagogue Tree of Life, Tree of Life synagogue massacre and natural Jewish law. And I'll be very frank. Pastor Meyer and his congregation has contradicted their creed because they're supposed to be Judaic, and they did just the opposite. But I will continue on here with his past presentations. I will, you know what? I'll add that to my footnotes, that past episode. You folks can see it, listen to it for yourselves. All right. So, and I will continue on here. If Democrats don't like being comparison, perhaps they should stop breaking the damn law. Oh, but they're doing God's work. Just ask them. They'll tell you. Who cares about laws when you're trying to make the world a better place, right? And how are they doing that? By trying to pass illegal laws. Stauffer doesn't owe them an apology, and any lawmaker that rebukes Stauffer is someone who needs to lose their seat in the next primary. He said something wrong. Democrats just want to play the outrage card because it's the only card they have in their deck these days. They completely ignore the fact that they're engaged in an effort to break the law. They pretend they're victims here. Meanwhile, they completely miss the irony of trying to break the law so they can pass a law that is easily broken. They're doing their law breaking out in public for crying out loud and can't see how easy that is. If it's that simple to pass a law and ignore the preemption law, or just how easy it will be for criminals to ignore their gun control efforts, they're literally proving that laws won't stop lawbreakers. Then they get mad when someone points out what they're lawbreakers. Unfortunately, none of them will see inside of a prison cell for their actions. Maybe that needs to change. And I have to agree with Mr. Knighton on this area. Because if you read the Pennsylvania Constitution, then I will just hit here Article 1, the Declaration of Rights. It means government keep out. And like it says here on Article 1, Section 1, inherited rights of mankind. All men are born equally free and independent, have certain inherited and indefeasible rights, among which are those of enjoying and defending life and liberty, of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property and reputation, and of pursuing their own happiness. So the folks in Pittsburgh have those inherited rights, and those yahoos in the city government cannot disparage, deprive, or breach. Alright, so now we'll continue on coming down here. I just took a wing it fest. And we'll just see right down here along the way. It gives a right to keep and bear arms in this. Power of suspending law. No power of suspending law should be exercised. Okay, that doesn't count. Blah, blah. Ex post facto impairment of contracts. This is Section 17 of the same article. New ex post facto law or any law impairing of the obligation of contracts or make it irrevocable any grant for special privileges or immunity shall be passed. So you can't be immune. Right to bear arms. Section 21, the rights of citizens to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be questioned. Hello. Hopefully you Hopefully all you tyrants in Pittsburgh are comprehending this. I will keep this on there, my footnotes as well, so you can read it for yourselves. And we can go all the way down here. Article 1, Section 25. To guard against transgressions of the higher powers, which we have delegated, we declare that everything in this article is expected out of general powers of government shall not forever remain inviolated. Reservation of powers in people. Okay, so you can hit that as well. And that is really it, to be very sincere on that aspect. And you know what makes me laugh the most? Because with this rhetoric, or we call it tyrannical platform, what they're doing, they are actually violating Article 6, Section 3 of their Commonwealth or state constitution. And as it reads here, senators, representatives, and all judicial, state, and county officers shall, before entering on the duties of their respective offices, take and subscribe the following oath or affirmation before a person authorized to administer oaths. As it says here with the quote, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Unquote. The oath or affirmation shall be administered to a member of the Senate or a member to the House of Representatives in the hall of the House to which we shall have been elected. Any person refusing to take the oath or affirmation shall forfeit his office. And to be very frank, what they're doing in what the city servants in Pittsburgh are doing, who are supporting this referendum, have already forfeited their office when you think about it. So I'm just wondering, I believe they do have a recall in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I haven't looked that up, unfortunately. If so, if you live up there, share that with me. That'd be great. If not, I'll just look it up another time. One of the areas right there, my friend, they got what they deserve. They got called out, and they start crying. That's right, because your acidine, tyrannical program is null and void. You don't like it? Get out, because you have unofficially declared, you have officially breached your oath of office. No ends, no ifs, no buts. Defense mechanized rhetoric is invalid, or other words, negated. All right, enough of that. Next one here came from Activist Post. And this was the title, The Original Pioneers of Mind Control on Why You Must Protect Your Mental Sovereignty Now. And this was written by Sigmund Freud. If you don't believe everything you see or hear in the media, do you? Good, because if you believe it, you might likely end up on psychiatric meds. You see, we live in a hyper communicative environment, and we're bombarded by an exceptional amounts of messages and mediums practically every moment of every day. There is an insane amount of information coming at you, and most of it intended to influence your thoughts or beliefs in ways profitable to the messenger. It's called going fishing. This is the essence of mind control. Influence someone's thought, and you influence their behavior. Every bit of media that you will allow to enter your consciousness influences your thoughts and or beliefs in very real ways, if you let it, that is. But most of us consume media in a very passive state of consciousness, either in the background while doing something else, or after a long day when the brain's exhausted and your willpower has been sapped. It happens to all of us, of course. In this state, ideas and suggestions are absorbed by the subconscious mind, where they go to work changing beliefs about the world and what you need in order to survive in it. The key in maintaining sovereignty of your mind is being aware of just how real this impact is. When you look at the dawn, of this era of mass communication, you find that as technology of radio, television, and film evolved, so did scientific understanding of how these new mediums could be used to achieve the goals of those who create and distribute media for profit or propaganda. The so-called father of modern propaganda, Edward Bernays, ruminates in 1928 about the need to control the habits and behaviors of democratized citizens. He asserts as a responsibility of those in power. There's a link for that too if you want to check it out. Maybe the book, I don't know, but check it out. It's very good. Here's one of the quotes. The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in the democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitutes an invisible government, which is true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds are molded, our tastes formed, and our ideas suggested largely by men we have never heard of. It is they who pull the wires that control the public mind. That was one of his quotes in that book, 1928. Bernays was Sigmund Freud's nephew and was heavily influenced by Freud. Steering his research in the direction of manipulative psychology, they developed what is essentially the crux of modern advertising, which is the ability to unlock one's desires through messaging and imagery. These skills were immediately harnessed to turn citizens into consumers and obedient workers, taxpayers, and soldiers. Here's another quote says, what Renee says, who are, excuse me here, let me just take a shot. Sorry about that. Who are the men who, without our realizing it, gives our ideas, tell us whom to admire and whom to despise, what to believe about the ownership of public utilities, about the tariff, about the price of rubber, about the Dawes Plan, about immigration, who tell us how our houses should be designed, what furniture we should be put in them, what menus should we serve on our table, what kinds of shirts we must wear, what sports we should indulge in, what plays should we see, what charities should we support, what pictures we should admire, what slang we should affect, what jokes we should laugh at. Great stuff here, Bernays once again. But where all this is going, if we choose not to wake up and actively participate in the creation of our future. Aldous Huxley had a serious warning for us on this, calling out the subtle forces of social engineers that were emerging at the highest levels of industry and government. It says here, is quote, impersonal forces over which have almost no control seem to be pushing us all in the direction of the brave new worldian nightmare. And this impersonal pushing is being consciously accelerated by representatives of commercial and political organizations who have developed a number of techniques for manipulating in the interest of some minority the thoughts and feelings of the masses. Aldous Huxley preface to A Brave New World. Brave New World was published in 1931, and Huxley has been proven right. Now the tools are far more complex and far more in your face at every turn. Two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning author and influential propagandist Walter Lippmann spoke about how the public is basically a dumb wild beast that needs to be domesticated. Walter Lippmann, an American intellectual, writer, and two-time Pulitzer winner, brought forth one of his first works concerning the usage of mass media in America. In Public Opinion, 1922 right now, okay? Lippmann compared the masses to a great beast and a bewildered herd that need to be guided by a governing class. He describes the ruling elite as a specialized class whose interests reach beyond locality. This class is composed of experts, specialists, and bureaucrats. According to Lippmann, the experts, who are often referred to as elites, are to be the machinery of knowledge that circumvents the primary defect of democracy, the impossible deal of the omni-component citizen. The trampling and roaring, bewildered herd has its function to be the interested spectators of action, i.e., participants, Participation is the duty of the reasonable man, which is not the regular citizen. That's from the Vigilant Citizen website. Miss Lippman thing. So thank him for that, for sharing. Here, Lippman talks about beneficial impacts of propaganda, as we have to say. That the manufacture of consent is capable of a great refinement. No one, I think, denies the process by which public opinions arise is certainly no less intricate than it has appeared in these pages, and the opportunities for manipulation open to anyone who understands the process are plain enough. As a result of psychological research coupled with a modern means of communication, the practice of democracy has turned a corner. A revolution is taking place, infinitely more significant than any shifting of economic power. Under the impact of propaganda, not necessarily in the sinister meaning of the word alone, the old constraints of our thinking have become variables. It is no longer possible, for example, to believe in the original dogma of democracy that the knowledge needed for the management of human affairs comes up spontaneously from the human heart. We act on that theory. We expose ourselves to self-deception and to forms of persuasion that we cannot verify. It has been demonstrated that we cannot rely upon intuition, conscience, or the accidents of casual opinion if we are to deal with the world beyond our reach. And that's what Lippman says in Public Opinion. And now, with nearly everyone walking around with a smartphone, you must realize that we are already hooked into a global neural net. That for now is only slowed down by a limited digital bandwidth in the space between your phone and your brain. Once this bridge is gapped, there's basically nothing left to protect your mental sovereignty unless you decide to wake up and take the wheel. Good stuff. And he does write for WakingTimes.com. You can follow him in all those areas as well. It's from Waking Times, published originally from Waking Times. Check it out. A activist post is cool because you got a lot of like-minded articles in here, and it varies. And it comes from different sources. So, absolutely. That's why, my friends, when it comes to internet technology, utilize it. You control it. Don't let it conquer you. That's how it has to be. When it comes to social media sites, you don't have to get too personal. I have good friends of mine get trapped in that game, and it hurt them for a while. But now they're learning from it. So I give them facts on these areas. Myself, I love utilizing social media sites. Now I'm on multiple ones. I'm trying to reach a few more at the time being. But the fact is this: you're your own individual. You free your mind. You observe everything responsibly. Do your homework. Multitask if you have to. Don't let these dingleberries, herd-conformed puppet masters, or masturbators tell you how to live, how to control your own destiny. Plain and simple. That's why I always say my religious views, I practice demoniac resistance. One more thing now. This came from John Rappaport from NoMoreFakeNews.com. And came out today as well. It says here, the individual, his freedom and victory. The state, as now constituted, pretends its favor, giving away the farm for nothing to those in need. What it really means is they steal the farm, then they give a few pieces away on their terms. It sounds like eminent domain to an extent, right? There are people who don't understand what a free individual is. They want a world of central planning. They feel a welter of emotions, all negative, when they contemplate the free individual. For the free individual, the highest work possible doesn't involve leaving one's desire behind in order to become the abject servant of a cause. He doesn't suddenly develop an egoless and empty personality in order to connect with a goal that flows in the abstract realm. The individual isn't shaped, he's shaped. He doesn't fall on his knees and grovel to seek public acceptance. The mob, the herd, operates on debt obligation, guilt, and the pretense of an admiration for the idols. These are its currencies. The herd, seeking some reflection of its uniform desire, construct an order based on need, and the substance of that need will be extracted through coercion, if necessary, from those who already have more. This need and the proposition that the mob deserves its satisfaction creates a worldwide industry. Among the industry's most passionate and venal supporters are those who are quite certain that the human being is a tainted, vile creature. Such supporters, of course, are sensing their own reflections. The greatest psychological factor in any life is desertion of individual freedom. Afterward, the individual creates shadows and monsters and fears around that crossroad. Freedom is the space and the setting from which the individual can generate the thought and the energy pulse of a great self-chosen objective. In that place, there is no cowarding or oppressive necessity. There is choice, there is desire, there is thought. Being absorbed in a greater whole isn't an ambition or philosophical prospect for a free individual. He sees that fixation as a surrender of self. The collective, whether envisioned as a down-to-earth or mystical group, promises a release from self. This grand solution to problems is a ruse designed to keep humans in a corral, a prison. After all, how are you going to control and eventually enslave people if you promote the notion that each individual has freedom and free choice? The abnegation of self is a workable tactic, as long as it is dressed up with false idols and perverted ideas. Self is fundamentally creative, dynamic, forward-looking, energetic, powerful, engaged. The collective looks for shadows of those qualities in the government as a source of survival. The free individual certainly helps others, but he is against a culture that is so preoccupied with raising up the lowest that nurtures the hatred of liberty. And this is the crux, because growing up millions of people are too eager to shed the last fragment of self to joy in a fantasy of everybody gets everything. That fantasy doesn't work. Melting down of all humanity into a mystical goo is an illusion that can't stand the test of time. Eventually, a person falls out of that construction and remembers he must depend to an alarming degree on his own inner resources. The free individual doesn't act in a way that limits freedom of others. Self-sufficiency is both an essence and an outcome for the free individual. The free individual discovers his way through imagination and creative power because that is the answer to the question, what is freedom for? Without exercising imagination and creative power, freedom withers and dies. It becomes an empty slogan. It becomes an empty stage. We are told in 1,000 ways that the free individual is a personification of greed and theft and crime. That is false. A free individual imagines, and creates on a scale that supersedes and ignores the collective. His work naturally spills over and benefits others. Advocates of the collective falsely claim the free individual is cold and uncaring and remote and without humanity. Meanwhile, there are pictures of society based on needs is a poisonous affectation. It is constructed because these advocates are walled off from their own power. Therefore, they substitute endless entitlement. Their only nod of acknowledgement to the individual has been propagandized him as an outsider, a potential danger, a lurking menace, a person waiting to be diagnosed with a mental disorder. These days, it is a group that is elevated. We must absorb the individual in the system so the group is protected and safe. Accepting the Mill's specious pronouncement that society should be organized on the basis of the greatest good for greatest number. The question remains, what is the greatest good? Is that which makes us more and more into a group? Or is that which liberates the individual to pursue his highest aspirations? The greatest good liberates the individual. Then the door is open. Who will walk through it? Every person who has divested himself of the collective mindset. The Titanic myth. have been foisted on humanity, and the titanic acceptance of those missed by humanity are all focused on one lie. The individual cannot stand on his own. He must be subjugate himself to a system. I don't care what form the higher system takes. It is a lie. It's all geared to promoting slavery. It is a geared to allowing the few to control the many. And the few will control the many until the day comes when enough individuals throw off all the deceptions that permitted them to think the individual was less than he is. The day will dawn when the individual knows he is the greater than any and all groups and collectives by any name, flying under any flag, espousing any gibberish, evaluating any fairy tale, seducing with any promise, hypnotizing any idol or misgotten legend. That day will dawn, but why wait? Why not act now? Why not launch your greatest dream? Self-determination, my friends. Yes, life is an adventure. We all have our ups and downs. You hit bumps on the road, jump hurdles, climb walls. I took some chances too, and I lose some, I win some, but you know what? That's how it is. You better yourself, improve, and share that knowledge to others. We're all great individuals out there. We have fantastic gifts. Don't let these pissants tell you any different. These weak, pathetic buffoons, doesn't matter what platform they're on, or entity or institution, tell you any different. They're trying to document every single one of us as a number. You are not. You're beautiful, freedom-loving, sovereign-thinking individuals out there. Don't fall for the hype and hoopla. Give them the big middle finger. I go, you don't own me. You need me more, I need you. That's how you counter. When more people do that, they will fear for their own integrity, their so-called honor, their entity, their material things. And that's the damn truth. Spiritual awakening is coming out slowly. People want it done immediately. Life's part of the cloak and dagger game, my friends. Let's go on to the whole Trump ordeal. Trump's anxiety, Trump haters. I'm not a Trump worshiper. I'm just giving you an example. Cloak and dagger. And you know what? Being an information war is part of it. You can do the same. So, you individuals out there have natural born rights, and no one can take that away. I have a friend of mine who is a convicted felon saying, don't want to talk about, what it took, they didn't take anything from you. Okay, people make mistakes, yes. But it doesn't mean your natural born rights is seized by the state. They don't give it to you. You were born with them. So I don't want to hear any of these cop-out excuses, defense mechanized rhetoric, schlep rock mentality. Have these pathetic invisible shackles around your neck and your ankles because something happened and now you got to be a doormat to them? Forget about it. They don't give a damn about you. You're not their demonids. You're an individual that has higher standards. We all got it within us. That's how it should be. And that's all I'm going to say. I'd like everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or we said something interesting you may check out, whatever you do, please share your correspondence with decorum. Hit that like button wherever you go. Even on my Spreaker page, that'd be great. All my footnotes will be in there as well, including my social media contacts and email addresses, okay? Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance helped to fulfill and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.